All beneficiaries of government grants must be alerted to the following developments with regards to their payouts. SASSA and Postbank have announced the phasing out of physical cash pay points and cash payments inside post offices. This process kicks off in January next year, and they plan that by the end of March next year, all CPPs and post office branch payments would have stopped. Paseka Letsatsi, South Africa's Social Security Agency Spokesperson, spoke to the show earlier.
When you come to a SASSA office to make an application, you either choose to get your money through the bank of your choice, or you get it perhaps at the post office, or you get it at the cash pay point. And I think as an organization, we have then taken a decision that it doesn't make economic sense for us to continue to use cash pay points. And the reason why it doesn't make economic sense is because, one, if you get, for an example, a child support grant, it's 500 rand. For us to be able to administer the 500 rand to give it to a beneficiary, we must pay 750. This 750 goes into the administration. Two, we together, SASSA together with Postbank, we're the bridging ground for cash in transit heist, because money gets transported to these cash pay points every month for people to be able to get their money. But thirdly, if people want to rob a cash vehicle and they can't, they come to a SASSA place and they kill people when they live there. You'd find that about 4 beneficiaries of SASSA are dead. So we're trying to make sure that we're pushing beneficiaries against that particular exposure.
Okay, quick administrative question. The 750 that you talk about includes that 500, so 250 goes to administrative costs. Have I understood you correctly?
Not necessarily. The 500 rand, it will be of a child support grant. The 750, it goes to the administration in a sense that we have to pay for the shelter, we have to make sure that we pay for security, we have to make sure that we pay municipal services and so forth. So it doesn't make sense, Iman, for us to give you 500 rand. And for us to be able to give you 500 rand, we must administratively pay 750.
That really is insane. And, you know, for you to pay more to manage the money than what you actually disperse, it just, you know, not only is it counterintuitive, but it certainly does undermine the resource that you have. Perhaps we'll get back there, because there are a couple of operational things I want to get through. So none of this cost is borne, though, by the recipient. Whatever they have been allocated in terms of whether it is their child support grant or others that they get in total. The question is that if it goes to the banks, are those charge-exempt disbursements? In other words, do they pay bank charges on that?
What if you come to the office, you make it your choice as a beneficiary, whether you want to get your money at the bank or you get it from the post office. If you get your money from the post office, SASSA, you can make 3 transactions free of charge without being charged anything. So the 750 doesn't necessarily go to the banks. It basically goes to us having to pay for security that you find.
Yes, no, I understood that, Paseka. I'm saying now, in the case of people who would receive their money from a banking institution, is that transaction bank charge free?
Not necessarily. If you go to a bank of your choice, obviously, you'll be charged bank transaction fees. But if you go to the post office, you get 3 transaction free of charge.
Okay, again, another one I want to come back to in terms of whether there can be a special waiver agreement made with the banks. But this is a massive undertaking, Paseka, so I want us to go through this quite quickly because it leads to my follow-up question. A massive undertaking. How much do you pay out nationally each month? I think it's in the region of 32 billion, 19 million people who might sometimes receive more than one grant. But just give us the specifics in terms of the amount and the number of people.
Would have 12 million beneficiaries, but obviously the benefits would be amount will go to 90 million. I think you've explained it better to say you might find that one person has got 4 grants linked to one council.
Right.
In terms of administration, we then have to publish about 1 billion to make sure that this particular things, the money which goes to people and other administrative costs. But thirdly, we also have, I don't want us to get this because it might confuse people, but we also have the number of people who get the 350. which you know
Right.
that is about 7 million people. So this is money that we are using to make sure that we administer the distribution of social grants.
All right. So you are saying to our listeners that this phasing out happens in January, which means they can go to a number of different alternatives. They can go to some of the retail stores. But the question is, how will those retailers be able to plan for it? Because, you know, some of them might be in a rural area, some of them might be in some of the urban areas. They need to have this cash on hand. What discussions have you had in terms of making sure that this alternative payment infrastructure is going to work seamlessly?
We have an engagement with the stakeholders, and in this instance, the retailers. We basically have meetings with them now and then just to make sure that, especially towards month end, to say, these are the numbers of people who might come to you, and this is the money which is expected, so that you are able to help them. But we always, if you can allow me to explain this, we always encourage beneficiaries not to withdraw everything which, with the money which is there in the account, because the cards, the SASSA gold card operates like within the national payment system. So a beneficiary can get money for a taxi, because we are saying even if an old lady gets their money, you get your money, you go home, and on the way home, you get robbed and the money goes. So we're actually encouraging them to basically make sure that when they make a transaction, they do not necessarily withdraw everything.
All right. Where can they go from Jan? You say the gold cards are still going to be functional, so no problem there. They get their money as of January. Well, what happens between now and January, and where can they go to wrap?
One, we are not going to close any pay point without coming up with an alternative, but we will basically engage. If we are going to close, we'll continuously encourage them, especially in urban areas. People can go to ShopRite, they can go to Checkers, they can go to Boxer to make sure that they make those particular transactions. If they want cash, even at those outlets, they can be able to get cash.